2 billion people out of 8 billion people in the world cannot read, cannot write, cannot do math to live a noble life. This problem started to bother me, and as luck would have it, I ran into my co-founder, Imran Saeed, and Imran currently teaches entrepreneurship and innovation at MIT, at the Sloan School of Business. And he and I connected, I think 10, 11 years ago. And at which point, somehow or the other, we were both thinking about the next big thing in digital transformation is education. Originally, we started with the assumption that this problem was a global problem and it would be at its peak in Africa, the least developed continent in the world. And I was looking at sub-Saharan countries, but when I started looking at the numbers, I was actually finding that they were actually doing very well, or not, I shouldn't say very well, but they were largely on a trajectory of improvement. And when I looked at Pakistan, I was shocked. I'd never thought we would be where we are, which is the #1 country in the world now, today, in out-of-school children. The most recent stats are, and this is from the World Bank chief in Pakistan, 24 million kids out of school. The problem is access, #1. Not enough kids have access to schools and teachers. So 24 million out of school, you could argue that not all of them are deprived, or they maybe have chosen not to come to school. Fine. There's certainly a subset that is that. But I do believe that the vast majority just doesn't have access to schools and teachers and quality. Right? The second problem is quality. In school, parents don't know how bad the educational system is sometimes, because the parents themselves are sometimes barely literate. The third problem, frankly, that plagues every underdeveloped country is accountability. You might have schools, you might have teachers, you might have kids in these schools. They're not being taught. What do you do about that? The teacher isn't showing up. The teacher is showing up but not teaching, which is, by the way, rampant, absolutely rampant. And beyond that, there are these ghost schools and the ghost teachers, and that is a very, very large problem in Pakistan, as in many other developing countries. In our case, we will go into a slum, work with the community, and if the community is interested and persuades us that they're interested in us setting up a school there, we'll ask them to rent a room for us. We'll pay for the school. Find a mom. Moms are very good managers. We underestimate them. Find a good mom with credibility in the community who is going to run that for us, and we'll pay her. We'll set up that room with solar. Set it up with hotspots for internet connectivity as when we need it, CCTV for monitoring, etc., and a few other things, security for the devices that we'll bring in. Bring in 25 tablets. Bring kids in 4 times a day at minimum. Ideally 5, but 4 times a day. And from that single room, we're now teaching 100 kids. The second thing, the quality issue is solved also, because here we are giving this little kid in a very underprivileged, marginalized environment the best educational software in the world, best educational games in the world. And our team has developed significant expertise in finding the best software. And so once you have it, this kid is going to be on par with perhaps the smartest kid in the world in another part of the world, or right at your own elite schools. So inshallah, we could solve the quality problem really well too. And then the accountability part of digital is just intrinsic to digital, right? Because I don't have to check if the teacher taught the child. In fact, we can track every keystroke that the child made. You have it for the whole class. You have it for the facilitator and the teacher. You have it for the school, right? So it's perfect accountability without you even having to build these monitoring mechanisms that sometimes we've spent money on, lots of money on. Here we are, I think 2018 was when this happened. I'm in the Himalayas at 11,000 feet above sea level, right around Skardu. This place is called Sultanabad. So we show up in this village because we have a partner who's invited us, and we're excited about working with them. So we're now doing the first launch of our product. So I show up, and we've got these kids who don't speak even Urdu. They speak whatever their native language is in that part of the world. And so these kids show up, and we show up, and we have a whole team of 5, 6 of us from Teach the World. And the first thing we do is want to talk to the kids. So I'm now talking to this little kid with my interpreter, who's one of our facilitators. And there's this tiny little kid, 5 years old. He's got his arms folded like this. He's got his eyes shut. He won't even talk to us. And we gave him candy. We tried to get him to talk to us. And he was just scared. Won't talk to us. After a while, we gave up and just moved on. A little later, we now are launching the tablets and giving these kids the tablets, opening them, and so on. So there's a whole class, maybe 20, 25. And they've all been given these shiny objects that they've never seen, especially at that altitude. People don't even have smartphones because they don't work. And in about 30 minutes, I'm seeing this little kid standing in the middle of the room, shouting and yelling and do all this, hey, this is how you do it, this is how you do it, this is how you do it. And he just figured it out. And now we've made a habit of not telling people very much at all. Invariably, in the first hour, almost all the children have figured out the tablet. You're giving this child this ability to teach themselves. I mean, there are people far more qualified than I in neuroscience who say that alone is just massive. Giving the child the confidence to teach themselves, that will last them forever. That'll change their life's trajectory potentially. And we've done this now in Pakistan, in Bangladesh, in Malawi. All of these kids are identical. I mean, there's very, very little difference, actually. They take about the same amount of time. And you could talk about city kids who, in Karachi, they've seen smartphones, so on, so. Well, they might do it 15 minutes faster, but it's a non-issue. And in fact, and the challenge is it's not a technology challenge as much as a design challenge. And if the design is good, there's no question. The kids are not going to have any trouble at all. And we find that also with our software, the best software, the kids just gravitate towards it. And the one that, the clunkier ones, they don't spend time on. And there are many, many, and especially, stories even from the Rohingya camps. where I was just amazed that every single time when I went there, you'd have 30 kids in class, sometimes more than 30 lined up outside, trying to get in because they don't have clocks, they don't have watches. They just wanted to be in class. And when I was there, sometimes the class would end, they wouldn't want to leave. And there was the facilitator or the teacher had difficulty just getting them to leave because they wouldn't want to give them the tablets they're trying to, so on. So in this case, having seen this over a day, I asked the facilitator, whose name was Kohinoor, and I said, Kohinoor, what's happening here? Why they're so excited? And she looked at me with surprise and said, don't you know these are the 2 happiest hours of their life? And I said, oh my God, that was big. Right? That was just a big, very moving, very touching moment. Because in the case of the Rohingya children, they're so deprived and they're so traumatized, and they were at that point certainly still in a state of shock. And here we were, not only educating them, but we're also educating them in a fashion that they felt very good about. Right now, for instance, our microschools are a beautiful model in more ways than one. One, they're addressing this problem, but at the same time, they're now a really easy vehicle for corporate Pakistan to, bring their corporate social responsibility program to a real live implementation. To me, it's a beautiful, right? And in fact, of the microschools we have, more than half are corporate sponsored. And I do feel that corporate Pakistan has a really good sense of the value of education. Frankly, far better than some other quarters that should know more, that should be more committed to it. And so I'm looking at corporate Pakistan as one of the best potential allies in this mission, right, on this mission. And the message to corporate Pakistan is, first, you can actually do it very cost effectively. Second, it will have clear implementation impact that you can see very, very quickly. And the third thing is that at the end of the day, a lot of corporate social responsibility may have a more indirect impact on you. And this does too, but if you have, we all know that there's a direct tie between education and economics and income. And so if you are a business in Pakistan, you will benefit tremendously by your economy being stronger, by economic empowerment coming to the masses. हमारा ख्याल तो ये है कि ये बिल्कुल सॉल्व हो सकता है। इसके लिए हमें अपने पास जो रिसोर्सेज हैं वो भी हमारे पास इतने कम नहीं हैं जितने हम समझते हैं। ख़ास तौर पे पहली से 5वीं जमात की जो फंक्शनल लिटरेसी की हम बात करते हैं उसके लिए, और पहली से 5वीं जमात तक आप बच्चे को अच्छी तरह पढ़ा दें तो वो उसके लिए बहुत होता है 50 और काम करने के लिए और अपनी तालीम के ऊपर और कुछ बनाने के लिए। तो मेरे ख़्याल में ये सोचना इसका ज़रूरी है, और इसके लिए हुकूमत को तो ज़ाहिर है इसमें सोचना है ही, लेकिन हम जो सारे इंडिविजुअल्स हैं सब लोगों को ये सोचना है कि ये हमारा अपना मसला है और हमने इसको सॉल्व करना है, और इससे सबका फ़ायदा होगा। ये सिर्फ ये नहीं कि किसी जो तालीम याफ्ता जो होगा उसका फ़ायदा होगा, पूरे मुल्क का फ़ायदा होगा, सोसाइटी का फ़ायदा होगा इंशाअल्लाह।